So let's just say I'm someone at home watching this, and I have a goal. I want to, maybe I don't want to make $1 billion. I just want to make sustainable income for my family, $120,000 a year.
Let me digress for a second, then I'll come back to your question. You just said something interesting. I don't want $1 billion, I have worked all over the world. I mean, all over Asia, China, South America, North America, Europe. And I'm always asking people, what do you really want? And I have found most people don't want to be really wealthy. What they do want is they don't want to have any financial concerns. If they want to buy a new suit, they can go and get one. If they want to take a trip, they can take the trip. If they want a new car, they can get the new car. They don't want to just run out and spend or buy. They don't want to have any financial concerns. 2, they want to wake up in the morning excited about how they're going to spend their day. Oof. And the 3rd, they want to mix with people who are upbeat and creatively productive. Those are the 3 things that people really want. So in answer to your question, if somebody's watching, what's the first thing they should do? Well, the first thing they should do is understand why we have goals. Not just to set a goal, because most people don't set goals right. They're operating with a limited level of consciousness, so they're thinking, if I could get a little more money, and if I could get him to help me and her to help me, and this happened, then I could do this. Maybe this is get a new car. What we've got to understand is we're trading our life for our goals. Literally trading our life. Would you trade your life for a car or a house? I don't think so. So it's got to be something really meaningful. And we're not taught to think this way. We should sit down and don't give any thought to where the money's going to come from, where the help's going to come from. It's what do you really want? Like Ed Hillary was a beekeeper in Auckland.
That story.
He wanted to climb Mount Everest. It had never been done. People died trying to do it. He went in 51 and failed. He went back in 52 and failed. In 1953, he stood on top of the mountain with Tenzing Norgay. But he didn't know how to get there until after he had got there. Edison didn't know how to illuminate the world until after he had done it. The Wright brothers were bicycle mechanics in Dayton, Ohio. No one believed you could fly. They'd been trying it for years.
But they saw it.
But they wanted to do it. They didn't know how, and they couldn't tell you until after they had done it. Now, the first flight only lasted 12 seconds. And the naysayer said, yeah, but they only were up there for 12 seconds. They said, we not only got up there, we kept the damn thing up there for 12 seconds. So, when a person sets a goal, they've got to say, what would I want? If I just let my mind just wander, use my imagination, how do I really want to live? That's what they should be doing. That's where it should start. And then don't listen to anyone that tells them they can't. Go to someone who has done something and ask them, what should I do? And then do exactly what the person tells them.
Simple formula.
It's not very difficult. If it had been difficult, I wouldn't have figured it out.
Then what's stopping people?
Ignorance.
Ignorance.
That's all the problems in the world come from ignorance. That's the purpose of life, to overcome ignorance, develop awareness. The only way to overcome ignorance is through knowledge. And the only way to get the knowledge is to study. Most people, they finish school, close the book, say, that's over. I'm never going to open another book as long as I live. They're screwed. It's all over.
I have a theory, and I want you to really elaborate on it. Most people say, I'm depressed. Like there's some percentages in America, like so many people
They probably are depressed.
Yeah, and like, how can you be depressed? You're a human. You have the power to control your own will. How you're depressed? And what I think happens is when you cannot see a better future.
I can tell you exactly what happens. I can tell you exactly what happens.
What?
I quoted Andrew Carnegie a few minutes ago. He said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, begins at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Depression it starts out from ignorance, doubt, and worry. I've got a chart, I show it. Doubt and worry is on the negative side of life. Understanding is on the positive side. Right. Doubt and worry comes from ignorance. Understanding comes from knowledge, but you got to study to get it. Doubt and worry are a psychic disease. It's an intellectual exercise. They're using their intellectual factors to build a negative idea, and that's all they see. They take and internalize that, and they get emotionally involved with it. It goes from doubt and worry to fear. They've emotionalized the doubt or worry. Turns into fear. The fear is in the emotional mind, and the emotion must be expressed through the only instrument it can be expressed through, the physical body. So it moves the body into a state we call anxiety. Anxiety is never expressed. Anxiety is suppressed. The suppression turns to depression. They bottle it up inside. They suppressed the fear. It turns into depression. The depression turns into disease. The disease turns into decay. St. Clair Lewis was right. He said, we don't die, we kill ourselves. Now, what is the opposite of all that? You'll go from ignorance to doubt and worry to fear to anxiety, suppression, depression, disease, disintegration. Go over on the other side. You go from understanding to emotional state called faith. You just know it's going to move into form because you understand the law. Faith isn't believing something you can't see. Strange thing about faith and fear, they both demand you believe something you can't see. Why would people choose fear over faith? Because they're ignorant. So you go from understanding to faith. The faith manifests on the physical plane, not as anxiety, as well-being. The well-being is not suppressed, it's expressed. And the expression turns to acceleration. You're building energy. And that is because there's no dis-ease, you're at ease. And that turns into creation, not disintegration. It's all a mental trip that they're building. Now they go to the doctor gives them Valium or some kind of drug to cool them out. He gets them numb so they don't know what the hell they're doing. I could show anybody how to overcome depression if they'll do it, but they got to do it. And that's where repetition comes in.
I heard a beautiful story about how we're always treating the effect, and now we're not reinforcing the cause and what makes stuff happening. And there was this beautiful story about if you have a cocoon in which inside there's an animal that wants to get out of it, right? What people do is like, oh, this thing it's hurting, it's trying to get out, give him Valium. Basically what we're doing with humans. So if you would do that, you would not only hurt the living thing, but you will also stop the growing process. So I think you probably have a better version of this, but so many people look at adversity like it's, oh, adversity, go away, repression.
I'm going to figure this out, you know. They're not bad things. They're good things. See, pardon me, we're conditioned, first of all. If you stop and think, where'd we come from? There's a little particle of energy from mom, a little particle of energy from dad. That's the moment of conception. And then an attractive force is set up. All of mom's DNA and all of dad's DNA, all their belief is locked up in those cells. All their conditioning. 280 days later, you make your debut on the planet. You're born. Then, and your subconscious mind is wide open, it's like that glass. You can put anything in there you want. The subconscious has no ability to reject. It is immoral. It is totally deductive. It can only accept. It cannot reject. So then the baby is surrounded by the people that's in that environment. If you took a baby out of Serbia, somewhere here just outside of Belgrade,
Sure.
and you take that baby to the suburbs of Beijing, or maybe New York, that baby will grow up fluent in Chinese or English and have no knowledge of the Serbian language. And yet it was born to Serbian parents. The environment
It's what creates.
is a greater influence than genetics. However, you look like your relatives because of the genetic conditioning, and then on top of that, you've got the environmental conditioning. Well, all that conditioning is repetition in your subconscious mind. It forms something we call a paradigm. A paradigm is nothing but a mass of habits or a mass of ideas that express themselves automatically without any conscious thought. And that paradigm keeps us going. It's in our subconscious mind. We gather information in our conscious mind, but it's the subconscious that moves the body. And if we don't change that paradigm, nothing happens. That's what I did when I got into this book. It was the repetition of information that was totally foreign to me. It was totally foreign to anything I had ever heard. And as I started to listen to it on recordings, I couldn't stop listening to the record. I had never heard anybody talk like that. I thought, wow, anybody can have anything they want. What if that's true? Well, I found out it was true. That's the way we live.